Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I figured that we could go ahead and do another really quick review over a pretty hype product as of right now. So today I wanted to review the Sephora Cake and Bake blending sponge. This is the empty box because I've actually just taken it out and gave it a good squishing underneath of some water. So I'm really sorry I didn't show you what it looked like before, but this is it. This is what it looks like. So this is made by Vera Mona. If you guys know anything about Vera Mona, I think they became really popular with the color switch little things that you can just clean off your brushes really quick and change colors super fast. So that is at least how I learned of this brand. I did pick this up at Sephora. It was $14, I believe. I will leave like a little explanation card or a little info card here about the product itself. But I saw it, I thought it was very interesting, and I just figured, you know, why not give it a try? It does look a little gimmicky with the flat edges. I'm not really sure what you would use these elongated sides for. I don't know. But I figured, you know what? Why not quit judging it and actually give it a try and then see what we think after we've actually used it. So if you guys are interested in seeing my thoughts and how this little beauty sponge works, then just keep on watching. Okay, so for the foundation, I figured we could go ahead and use one of my new favorite foundations, or one that has been a favorite for just a little bit. It is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. I have mine in the shade Buff Bisque. I have already primed my face using my normal primers. I used the Coconut Skin Smoothie Moisturizer right here. That is my moisturizing base. And then I used this Catrice Prime and Fine Pore Refining Primer. If you guys are interested in any of the other primers that I use, I will leave a little info card somewhere around here to link you to my last video, which I talked about all of the primers that I love and some that you could use for maybe your personal skin type. So be sure to check that out. Since I am primed and ready to rock and roll, I'm going to go ahead and just apply the foundation to my face as normal, and then we'll jump into blending it out. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use one of the flat edges over here to blend it out. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I'm immediately noticing that it's actually taking me a lot longer than what it normally does to blend out this foundation. I don't know if it's the sponge. I mean, I guess it has to be the sponge. This is insane how long it's taking.
2 hours later.
Okay, so there is one layer complete. My first initial thoughts are it took extremely long to blend out that foundation. It normally doesn't take me that long to blend out foundation. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of using a blender to buff in my foundation nowadays. I've actually been using a brush. I think it actually soaked up a good bit of the product. Here is what the sponge looks like right here. So I feel like a lot of the product is actually in here because my cheek area right here, I can see a lot of my freckles. Which normally I don't see nearly as much with this particular foundation. I did find it difficult to blend. It wasn't so bad if I was just blending, you know, in a very small portion, but I do apply enough foundation on my face that I should be able to blend it all over and get a pretty nice base layer, but that seems to not be happening right now. So I'm going to go ahead and try to even out this, or get the foundation coverage that I want, and then we will move on from there. Okay, so here is layer number 2 done and nice and blended in. Once again, the sponge has quite a bit of the product on it, but I do think this time around it blended out a lot better. I'm still not superbly impressed with its blendability power, but we're not done yet, so I won't judge it just yet. So the next thing I want to do is obviously conceal. That's something I would follow up with next in my routine. So we'll go ahead and do that and see how it blends out with that. As far as concealer goes, I'm just going to be using the the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I'm using the shade Light Medium. I'm actually going to use the other side of the blender just to see, does it matter if it's clean or if it's dirty or what have you. So I'm going to use the other side and we'll see how it does. I will say it is really nice to be able to get directly up underneath of the lash line and in the inner corners of your eyes and blend that out. Which that is a little bit more difficult to do with a regular blending sponge. So that is a plus. That's a win for this one. Okay, I'm actually really impressed with how that concealer blended out. I'm kind of looking at myself and I'm just like, what pores? Where? They've literally blended away. That is amazing. So I don't know if it maybe was the foundation that the blender just wasn't enjoying or didn't like to move around very well, but I will say this concealer and this sponge work really, really well together. That looks flawless. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of cream contour because I have been doing a lot of that lately, and we'll blend that in kind of how I normally would using the sponge. Okay, so whenever I do cream contour, I don't actually do the initial blending with a sponge. I use a brush first and then I use a sponge to kind of help melt it into the skin. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do with this. So now that I have that majority of that blended in, I'm going to go ahead and use the sponge like I normally would to finish the blending process. I will say, like, this design is pretty ergonomic where I can have a really good grip on it. However, I do feel like as if there is a lot of wasted space in this area. I guess I'll try to use it. It feels a little awkward almost to use the long side to do like full blending. Like I feel like I have a giant... I'll let you finish that one. But it's just a little awkward and it's not very comfortable. So I don't think I'm going to ever use the sides, but so I mean that is kind of a bummer because I do feel like that's a lot of wasted real estate. As far as the blending process goes, just looking here at my skin right now, I'm actually pretty impressed with what it looks like. There's not a whole lot dipping into my fine lines and wrinkles that I have on my forehead. The underneath of my eyes, I mean, they always crease. It's just unfortunately something that I deal with. But it doesn't look any extra creasy or worse than it normally does, so I appreciate that. But I will say my pores have pretty much vanished. Now, I didn't use any different type of primer or anything like that than I normally do, so I can only assume it was the sponge that did that. So why don't I go ahead and finish putting on the rest of my face. I don't know what on earth I was thinking, trying to run away from here without actually baking my face. This is the Cake and Bake sponge, for Pete's sake. So that is something that I will go ahead and do on camera as well. I want you guys to be able to see what kind of baking power this sponge actually has. So for our bake today, I'm going to be using the RCMA Original No Color Powder right here. And I'm just going to put some of this into a lid here. So taking the sponge, I'm going to use the same edge with the foundation on it, I do believe, and we're going to stick it in the powder and we will bake underneath of our eyes. It picks up the powder really nicely, like look at that. That is a full bake right there. Okay, I do enjoy how I can kind of create a sharp line right here. And I can get right up underneath of the lash line. That is pretty cool. So there's a win. So you could really chisel out a nose contour with this, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to just do the same thing. I usually bake my chin and my forehead just a little bit because those areas tend to break up with makeup on me. So one of the things that I wanted to test, I've seen a lot of people taking this and just creating that really harsh, stark line on the side of their face to kind of cut out their contour. So we're going to try to do the same here. So I've just dipped it all in powder. You see it looks like a little stamp. And I'm just going to take it and cut out the contour. Wow, you see that? Okay, so I do look a little insane. I do apologize for that. However, I am actually really impressed with the baking ability of this sponge. I mean, look at these lines. Look at the amount of powder that was actually put on my face. That is kind of unreal. I'm a little shook right now. I can't formulate full thoughts, full sentences just yet. Wow, look at me. I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of this bake. I'm going to obviously depowder myself, finish the rest of my face, and then we will come back and talk about what are my exact thoughts on this sponge. Is it Morgan approved? Is it something that I think you need to own? We shall see. Just stay tuned. I'll be right back. Hey guys, I am back. So I just want to kind of give you my final thoughts on this Cake and Bake blending sponge. So as far as the foundation blending goes, that was actually pretty rough and I didn't like that aspect of it very much. However, the concealer blending was amazing. Do I think I would use this to blend out my foundation anymore? Probably not. But this is something I would more than likely use to blend out my concealer. I know that's a little extra and a little bougie to use maybe a different beauty sponge just to blend out concealer. But I will say I noticed a huge difference in how my concealer looked, kind of flawlessness. My pores were completely gone. Like it was almost mind-blowing, honestly. I was shook whenever I took a look at myself in the mirror. That's kind of my thoughts on that. Did I really notice much of a difference whenever it came to the cream contour? No, not really. So I don't think I would really use it for that either. Like I said, I think I'll just stick to concealer. But as far as the baking goes, I have never used something that bakes powder onto your skin that amazing before. Like to get such a cut, like harsh line down the sides and even down here on your nose to create such a harsh nose contour. I use the word harsh lightly. I was just so impressed by it and I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I guess in a way this sponge was kind of a win for me, even though I didn't exactly love it for one of the main things it's used for. Concealing and baking, yes, absolutely. Foundation, not so much. Not really a big fan of. Will I give it a try with another foundation? Yeah, I will, just to make sure that it wasn't maybe this particular foundation that it just didn't work with. I'm pretty impressed with what we've got going on here. So I will say this is definitely Morgan approved. Go give that cake and bake sponge a whirl. Let me know what you think in the comments below, or do you already own this sponge? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know. I want to know what your thoughts are. Thanks for tuning into the video this week, guys. I super appreciate you coming back every week and hanging out with me. Let me know if you have any suggestions for me. If not, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, or if you own this sponge or whatever, if you just feel like giving me a thumbs up. Hey, I like it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that notification bell too if you'd like. I mean, I would think that would be pretty cool if you did. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and end this video, guys, here, okay? Like I said, thanks so much for watching, and I will hang out with you in the next one. Bye.